Okay, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. I heard you say good morning like a while ago, but Teams and my laptop don't get along, so it was just lagging.
No worries. I'm glad you could join us. I'll just go ahead and get started, everybody, and then I'll reserve some time at the end for questions if anyone does have questions. Our group is always small but mighty, so we'll have plenty of time for that. So, welcome, folks who don't know me. If you see me looking up, it's because I put you all up here and my screen is down here for the actual presentation. I don't know, since we have such a small group, if anyone wants to share what brought them to this information session today.
Yeah, I'll share. I had actually met with Dr. Mathis last week or a few weeks ago. Actually unrelated to this, but since we
Mhm.
were meeting, I thought I would just take an opportunity to pick her brain and really ask her about the program and just really what I want to do because I do want to take it to the next level, not only just professionally for myself, but like within the university as well. And in order to do that, I do have to get a doctorate or a PhD. So I was either like I was teetering between getting my PhD or my doctorate in public health or social work. But so far, social work seems like the more feasible route, a more efficient route for my lifestyle. So I'm on here to see and listen about more information.
Thank you. And Jasmine, remind me what you're currently doing.
So I work, of course, as an adjunct professor here at the university for the Kent School. So I teach BSW 201 in person and the BSW 405 online. Um, and I'm supposed to be teaching a BSW 201 intercession, like winter intercession course online. Um, and then a new course next semester, or new to me, anyways.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's the days in between. You're welcome.
Does anyone else want to share before I roll on? Michelle, I think you're muted.
You're about to be done with that pizza.
Or Michelle, if you want to type in the chat, that may work a little bit better for you. Okay. Well,
Can
I'll
you
go
hear
ahead
me?
and yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Um, so yeah, I agree with the previous sharer. I wanted to find more about the DSW. Wasn't sure if this is the route for sure I want to do or the PhD. I have been working in social work, have a private practice for over 20 years here in Los Angeles.
Mm.
The Los Angeles area. So I also am interested in possibly doing more work in terms of advocacy and community. A lot of needs here. Um, I do some work with interns, um, and so I'm interested in possibly going into academia,
Okay.
teaching. So I think having a DSW or the PhD would be helpful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry about that. I'm not used
No,
to using this Teams.
yeah, that's the
So
fun part with Zoom or Teams. There's always one or the
yeah,
other.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Johnny, I don't know if you wanted to say anything. I'll just make a little space for it, but if not, definitely no pressure. Or if you just want to put something in the chat, that's also fine.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I used to teach at the Kent School of Social Work as an adjunct in MSW program. Taught social welfare policy, 1 and 2, back when I was a a law school student, part-time, and I did part-time evening. As far as teaching at the Kent School of Social Work. I graduated from the law school program in 2022, and I've been a federal probation officer over 15 years, in which I'm currently stationed in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm interested in the DSW program because, working in the federal court system as a African American male clinician of color, there are some challenges, and also just dealing with the population I currently, supervise with trauma. I want to focus my practice on, and I'm at LCSW to focus my capstone project around trauma-informed leadership, as far as making sure that people understand what trauma is when folks come into the criminal justice system, and making sure that practitioners, court officers, as well as judges understand and take that into consideration when doing sentencing.
Gotcha. And I know you mentioned you were a law student. Do you hold an MSSW as well?
Yes, I got an MSW in 2009 from Howard University.
Gotcha. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I just like to take the time to, kind of meet who I'm talking to. So I appreciate your all's patience these first few minutes. My name is Elise Stokes. I am a doctoral program manager here at the Kent School of Social Work and Family Science. I have on my own social work sort of background. I have a degree in counseling psychology, and I've worked with Campbellsville University with their social work program as well. So here I land. I work with the DSW and the PhD program. So for those of you who said you were interested in both, there is a separate information session for PhD. I usually encourage those who are interested in both to attend both sessions, so that way you can kind of properly compare and contrast the pros and cons and what's best fit for you. Moving on into this, our program team. So I am a team of one essentially, but I do have a program director. Her name is Dr. Heather Storr. She also has taught within the PhD program as well. We have a lot of tenure track faculty here, so I'm just going to go ahead and move to the next page. I know, Jasmine, you mentioned you spoke with Dr. Mathis already, but a lot of our faculty are full-time tenure track faculty, which is a great factor if you're kind of comparing DSW programs as you go. Our faculty have a wide breadth of experience. They've been here for a long time, and they have a lot to offer. We also take smaller cohort sizes. Some programs that are in the DSW realm, it almost may appear like they don't have a cap on how many students they take. We do kind of consider ourselves more of a boutique style. We take 15 to 20 students each cohort. It allows for our professors to have more of that individualized mentorship with them. So we do think that that's kind of a bonus. You can also expect to meet with your instructors synchronously in classes at least 2 times each term to provide supplemental materials, information, and also as a sense of office hours, getting to know their students, giving you a chance to get to know your cohort and that sort of thing in each class. These are some additional faculty. So these folks here are not necessarily teaching in the program as far as the additional faculty on the side, but they are capstone chairs. So they just kind of work with the program in a different way. Some of our part-time faculty, these 3 here are actually DSW graduates from our program. So sometimes folks round back to help us, with some of our sections. And it's kind of nice because they've already been through our specific program. They can offer a different lens to the students that they are teaching. Program snapshot. Obviously, it's a graduate level program. Our deadline for applications is March 15th every single year for that same year cohort. So if you submit your application by March 15th, 2026, you can expect to enroll in fall 2026. 44 credit hours. We do not have any electives in this particular program. And I also want to mention our program focuses leadership development and teaching. There are some DSW programs that are more clinically focused. And so I mentioned that if that is a desire, you may not get the curriculum that you're looking for with our particular program. Just to mention, it sounds like everyone here is very much interested in leadership and advocacy and teaching in some of these ways. You already have some teaching experience, so this will probably fit right in. The duration of the program is 8 continuous semesters, so it's designed to be a little less than 3 years. And I say designed because sometimes life does happen, and there may be an extension of that for whatever the reason. We have had that happen where students have had to take a leave of absence for some sort of life circumstance, and we work with them as closely as possible to ensure that we can provide some continuity of care even while they're not in classes, but also so when they transition back in, that goes a lot more smoothly. Tuition right now is $8.50 a credit hour. This is also on the website. I would keep tabs on the financial aid website even for next year. Sometimes tuition does fluctuate. 250 a credit hour is expected for active duty military. If you have any specific financial aid questions, the financial aid office is the best resource. This program at this time does not have any scholarship options. A large part is because it is a part-time program, which makes it a little bit more challenging for assistantships and scholarships and things of that nature. We are working toward building a scholarship, hopefully within the next year or so, but I can't really guarantee anything in this moment based on our current budget. So highlights about the DSW program. I will not read all of this to you because you all are very intelligent people and I do not want to insult your intelligence. One thing I will point out, it is 100% online asynchronous for the exception of those instructor meetings that I mentioned. There are also some additional professional development opportunities that are also synchronous. So it's entirely up to you of how much you want to take advantage of what is offered into the program. But as far as your general coursework, that is 100% online asynchronous. The other piece too, just because I get this question every now and then, if you have to come to campus for orientation or anything like that, you do not need to have any residency in Louisville, Kentucky whatsoever. We hope that when you graduate, you come and participate in that. But outside of that, there's no expectation of you to fly or drive or come all the way to campus. If you are local and you want to visit, you are more than welcome to do so. I'm in Patterson Hall, just in case you feel like dropping by. Program outcomes, promoting lifelong learning, trauma-informed practices. A lot of you all have already been through this with your master's program and your postmaster's experience. The other piece too is DSW programs develop scholar practitioners, so as opposed to PhD programs developing research scholars. DSW program goals, again, not going to read all this to you, but the main takeaway is that this curriculum and program is designed to place emphasis on leadership and teaching to either enhance those, to provide those skills, different things like that. We do come from a social justice and social work lens. It sounds like everyone here is on board with that. So that is what you can expect to be embedded in your curriculum as well. And I'll show you a slide with some of the curriculum and the titles and everything so you can get kind of an idea of the classes you would be taking. Oh, next slide. So this is the degree plan. So the courses are designed to be taken 2 courses at a time, 1 course each 8-week term. So for example, in this first fall semester, you'll take DSW 700 Social Service Leadership. You'll take this course first in the first 8 weeks, and then DSW 701 you will take in the next 8 weeks. So you take each course one at a time. The only time it starts to differ is during the summer. The terms are a little bit shorter. Summer in general for universities is a little bit more accelerated. So instead of 8 weeks, you're looking at 6 weeks for DSW 704 and another 6 weeks for DSW 710. And the second year is when you will have a teaching practicum or a leadership practicum. I will go ahead and mention now, since some of you already mentioned that you teach, what will happen is that your curriculum or your kind of assignment expectation will differ. You'll have a conversation with the practicum instructor on how they can tailor it for you to get the most out of the experience since you're already teaching. So you likely will have different objectives than other students that do not have any teaching experience at all. So as far as the practicums, you will experience a leadership practicum in your second year fall semester. So you'll have DSW 706, that first 8 weeks, DSW 707, that second 8 weeks, and your your leadership practicum will consume the full 16 weeks altogether. For the leadership practicum, we encourage students to choose their place of employment. You will have a professional mentor. So someone who either can provide you some skill sets. Maybe you want to work in a different department. Those of you who are in advocacy, maybe there's a certain leadership role that you're trying to obtain, thinking about who can professionally kind of mentor you through that process. You will have a list of objectives for your assignments, and you and your mentor will meet, kind of accordingly. The other piece I want to mention too is, even though this says practicum, we are actually trying to change the name because it is not really a practicum in the sense of when you did your MSSW program. So there's not a set amount of hours that you have to meet, that you have to make, meeting with your mentor X amount of times a week. We would recommend that you meet with your mentor at least once a week, but there's not like you have to meet with them for an hour, or you have to do, 24 hours a week or whatever it is to meet a practicum time. So try not to think of it like that, even though the word is probably confusing. It's more of a mentorship experience than a practicum. So spring semester, kind of experiencing the same thing as far as the term layout. You'll take DSW 708 in the first term for 8 weeks, DSW 709 in the second term for 8 weeks, and DSW 715 for that teaching practicum during the entire 16 weeks. So for those of you who do not have teaching experience, or even if you do and you have a preference of university, what we do is we try to set students up with our faculty to teach an online class. But we also have students that have rapport with the university that they teach at, or a university that they work at, or local to them. When that happens, we can still make that work. When it comes to outside universities, we would work with the student on developing a contract with the instructor. Let's say for example, Los Angeles, perhaps there's a university there and you know that you can, teach at a university nearby. We develop a contract with our school, so that way there's kind of expectations aligned, liability aligned, and all of that, to make that work. And it's basically your instructor would be signing off their commitment to meet our goals and expectations for the program for you, and then you kind of move forward in that way. So that's doable as well. If you're someone that prefers to work locally, or you want to teach in class in person and you don't feel like the online, teaching will give you what you need, you have that. Also with the teaching practicum, the first portion is more of a observation, understanding pedagogy, curriculum, building, design, that nature. The second part of it is kind of putting that into practice to have that co-teaching experience. So just to kind of give you a little additional information there. Your second summer, integrated seminar and qualifying assessment. So this is actually one complete grouped class of 12 weeks instead of doing the 6 weeks and 6 weeks like we did in the previous summer. During this class, you're collecting a little bit of data, you are completing a qualifying assessment, you are creating your capstone proposal, and you're completing a qualifying exam. So all of that is kind of coupled into that 12 weeks. We actually used to have this be 6 weeks long, and it was terrible. So we have learned, and we want to make sure that we're able to provide quality instruction to our students. So that's the reason for that extension with this particular class. Once you complete your qualifying exam and you pass, you move into candidacy. So candidacy is basically saying, I've completed all my coursework, and now I'm slowly working on my capstone project. So you can see in the final year, year 3, that is all you are doing, is working on your capstone project. You will have a capstone committee to kind of help guide you. You'll have a capstone chair specifically as well to connect with primarily on that mentorship piece. And then you'll have some additional faculty members on your capstone project. As far as capstone project goes, if you've had a thesis before, or if you've attended a dissertation for a PhD student, it's kind of the same aligned aspect. Obviously, you have a written component to it, so there's a bit of a manuscript happening, and there's also an oral presentation where you will present your findings. The topics vary, and it's really up to you and your passion. I've had one presentation on kind of social attentiveness with military veterans. Someone did a project on that. Someone else did what are the barriers to Black social workers getting their LCSW. I've had students do what are the kind of issues or self-care, declining with medical social workers in hospitals or something like that. It just kind of depends. It can be as specific as you want. I would say most students, when they come in, it's not very narrow, but as they kind of move in with their coursework and things like that, they start to kind of narrow it down to a bit of a niche in what they see themselves doing for their capstone. Experiential learning. So I know I touched on the practicum pieces already, capstone project. I touched on this piece as well. Sometimes I move ahead of myself in my brain and I don't realize that I have slides. But this is kind of what you can expect. So feel free to review this if you want to get some additional information. I would say the part that I didn't mention is that the capstone project, you do some data collection or secondary analysis, secondary data, and that piece. The difference between the DSW and the PhD, this is the only slide that I have on this because, as I mentioned, you may just want to attend both information sessions. How I like to think of it, honestly, is the PhD program, in a sense, research scholars, they are collecting the data, they are presenting that data, and DSW scholars are applying that data. Okay, we have this here, how can we change the policy? We need to change the policy because the data shows we need to. That sort of thing. That's the easiest way I feel like they kind of compare and work with each other. Obviously, in the DSW program, while there are some research and analysis components, it's not going to be to the same level as a PhD program. PhD, you're entering research from start to finish, through and through. The other piece too is the DSW program or DSW degree tends to work in advocacy more on the front lines kind of aspect and administrative aspect, as many of you are kind of already interested in. Or the PhD, you're kind of looking for working in research institutions or teaching curriculum in a different way. I'll say that as well. Some of our students work at think tanks, they do consulting. And the DSW program, I do want to mention this, you can do almost anything in both ways, in both degrees. Obviously, certain opportunities are going to look a little bit different for a PhD than a DSW, but for example, you can teach with both degrees. You can work at a think tank with both degrees. It's just the curriculum that you will receive is very different, and some of the expectations are a little different as well. So just be thinking of what may work best for you in that. If you're thinking specifically U of L, the format for the 2 degrees are also very different. So you're not going to have an online asynchronous experience with a PhD program. It'll be face-to-face and some other different expectations. I'm being short with that because I don't want to take up time for a different program, but just some things to think about. What can you do with a DSW?
The previous slide, actually, I'm sorry. Oh, the one before that one.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you all should get a recording as well. So Jasmine, if you need to kind of run back through in case, yeah. What can you do with the DSW degree? Again, this is not all encompassing. I kind of mentioned some of these pieces, being a faculty person or administrator, consulting and training, policy practitioner. A lot of you are already in the nonprofit world, so you kind of know some of these already. This is not all encompassing. This is just some pockets that we've kind of picked out for folks as they've moved along. What it takes to be a successful doctoral student. So the reason we have this slide, even though it seems very basic and maybe common sense to some, is because it's such a transition when you're coming back into a program after you've already had your profession for a while, you have your life, you have commitments, you have all these things. The main thing is communication. I cannot tell you how many times a doctoral student has not communicated with me, and what it prevents is me being able to offer the most options I can offer you. So the longer sometimes students wait, the less options I'm able to provide to keep things going as smoothly as possible in the program, or if they need to step out returning to the program, different things like that. I advocate through and through for people to get what they need so that they can kind of alleviate whatever might be impeding on their academic success. But the sooner folks know about it, the easier it is to kind of make those things happen. So communicating with your instructors at the least is what we kind of ask. I'm usually pulled in more so for policy and procedure situations to make sure we can get what we need for that student. Creating your own study space. I am in an online program right now, and I can tell you creating study time is the most frustrating and important thing you'll probably need to do. So if you have certain roles, if you're a caretaker, if your family is living with you, if you have a different situation, if you volunteer, whatever the case may be, whatever additional commitments that you have, start thinking about how you can adjust those. If you can take something off your plate, or if someone else can do that for you, or if you can make a short-term sacrifice for the long-term professional goal that you have. just kind of be thinking of how to adjust those things, be thinking of what kind of study time may work best for you. We have students that their study time is at like 1 a.m. because that's what works for them. It really just depends on the individual student. You can expect to spend probably 12 to 15 hours a week outside of classwork outside of your class to be working on classwork and assignments and things of that nature. So being able to carve that time out is going to be really crucial. Referring to the syllabus, I think, is a given. Be thinking of your capstone project as you move through the program. So as you're completing assignments and you're going course by course, be thinking of how you can apply either your passion or your topic or whatever you're thinking about to some of those add-ins as you're moving along, to some of those assignments, to some of those skill sets and curriculum objectives. General support, success, eat, rest, exercise. Whenever I have my PhD students, that first semester, they look like they haven't slept maybe 2 minutes of their life. So try not to do that. And it really is just about finding a balance. Each class, you'll find a new balance, but just have that expectation. Each instructor is different. Your expectations for each class, the topics are different. So those assignments will be a little different as well. Having some discussion posts, some assignments, some reading, those are the things that you just in general can expect. And at a doctoral level, those things may be a little bit more rigorous. And we do feel that our program is a rigorous program because we believe in the quality of it. So just keeping that in mind as well. Building your positive support system, you will need it. You will need someone to be your cheerleader. We are always your cheerleader on the academic side, but you'll probably want someone that's not us to also be in your circle for when we're not always there. So try and have some folks around you or a form of self-care with you that can kind of alleviate some of the stress you may feel, or other feelings that kind of come with transitioning into being a student again for the first time, or well, third time perhaps for you. And be flexible with yourself. So when I say that, I mean offer yourself a lot of grace as you're moving through. What to expect. So at least with orientation, what we do is we have Wednesday nights scheduled. So Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. This is also the time your instructors will schedule synchronous sessions. They will tell you the specific date, but it is always a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. So what we do during orientation is we try and get students kind of used to that. So from July 1st, or roughly that first week, that first Wednesday in July, 4 Wednesdays, that entire month, you'll meet at 7 p.m. to connect with an instructor. It may be someone from our admissions committee, it may be a faculty member, but they're in the DSW program in some capacity and they will go over a specific topic. So for example, we had Letitia Reynolds. She is our library liaison for the Kent School. She comes in, she does a complete review on literature search with our specific platforms, how to go about that, keywords and different things that'll be helpful when you're looking for data, journals, etc. We do have one that's on APA style specifically, where you will have a light assignment on that. And it will essentially be graded, give or take, but not a grade, if that makes sense. So that way instructors can start providing to you feedback ahead of time before actual courses start. So you can expect some different topics such as that, whether that's Kent committees that we offer, and they'll come and speak to you all. So it's just different things, but again, it's aligned to point you toward university resources, but also expectations for this doctoral program that you'll be embarking on. General expectations as far as performance, doctoral level writing skills, which I think that's a given. I know I already mentioned what you can expect as far as study time expectations, your synchronous sessions, and just a reminder of initiating communication when things come up. We do have a Synergist seminar and a Capstone Connect session. So the Synergist seminar, again, Wednesday nights. These are over different topics. Topics can vary. They are up to the student in the Synergist seminar. So usually I'll send a survey of what professional development workshops would you all like to have. So sometimes that's with, if they haven't been in a teaching institution before and they would like to, then that session may be over academic interviews and how to facilitate that with faculty. If students want to present and publish more, then we may have a session that's more focused on that. So it kind of just depends on what students like. I would say we try and have a session each month for the Synergist seminar. So maybe 10 sessions, 9 sessions or so, given the academic year. DSW Connect is a little bit more focused in experiencing like an individual professional to come in. So this may be an alum, this may be a guest speaker, just someone who can attest to the skill sets from a DSW and how to apply them or what they can look forward to from a professional perspective. So this may also include a faculty member coming in as well. So they offer different things just to offer a more robust experience for some of these other events that we can have. It pulls you all in together again to build that cohort experience, but it also gives you all some other tools, other resources, other networking opportunities as you move through the program. So now we're kind of coming into the admissions part of things. Candidate requirements, at least a GPA of a 3.0. This is a graduate school stipulation, not a Kent school stipulation. Completing an MSW or MSSW degree from a CSW accredited program, at least 2 years of postmaster's experience. We are going through the accreditation process with CSWE right now. We are currently in the self-study, but from the stipulations that they have provided and the restrictions or regulations that they will have, 2 years postmasters will be required. So that's why that's already in here. Before we had 3 required because we wanted to make sure like we are going to be prepared, and now we actually know that it'll be 2. We are going to apply for accreditation towards the end of the other year and towards the end of next year, sorry, and we'll hopefully hear back from that maybe around 2027. You do need to be currently employed in a human service setting or related, possess strong oral and written communication skills and analytical ability. And then general application requirements. Some of you all may have already kind of started this in the portal. There is a graduate application. It basically is you creating a login into a portal. And once you have that portal open, you can upload most of these documents yourself. If you are a previous U of L alum, they will actually pull your transcript for you, so you don't need to worry about that. If you are not, then you will want to make sure that you provide, have an official transcript sent from your individual institutions where you've received credit, and then our graduate school will kind of upload those on your behalf. Having a personal statement, and I'll go over this a little bit more detail in a couple slides or so. Personal statement, there are some prompts for that. Current resume or CV, writing sample, there are also some prompts for that. And then 3 letters of recommendation, familiar from applicants, from references that are familiar with your work, your skill set, academic ability, and such for a doctoral program. So again, kind of reviewing this application checklist. This checklist is located on the DSW website. If you've been on the online learning website, this is right in with the admissions materials. There's a link for it, and you can go right into it. That link also has the different prompts. So for example, you see here personal statement, candidates must submit a 2 to 3 page single-spaced document, etc. Their prompts are there located. For the personal statement, I believe it is to actually, maybe it might be the writing sample. I think the writing sample you describe a social problem. Yep. So the writing sample, this is the prompt here. Again, you don't need to memorize the slide. It's on the website, but I just wanted to have it here just as kind of a showcase that there will be something a little bit extra. I know sometimes with writing samples, students in other programs may just upload something recent that they've done. The key here really is to make sure that it's in APA format and to just go ahead and follow the prompt. This makes it easier for the committee to just have consistency aligned. In the PhD program, we don't require that. And so I get a variety of things when I'm looking at applications. So this just kind of makes this easier and consistent for them to take a look at, also to address your APA style and things like that, your academic writing thus far. I know I mentioned the 2 years postmaster's experience. And so another part of the application process, once you submit, I am the first reviewer. Usually if I'm missing something or if something makes an applicant ineligible, so for example, not meeting the 2 years postmaster's requirement, I'll usually just reach out and say, hey, we're missing XYZ, or hey, unfortunately, you don't meet this requirement, but would you like to defer your application for the following year when you would? Have a little touch point like that. After I review the application and I decide, okay, everything's there, it looks good, I pass it on to the admissions committee and they actually make the final say-so of an interview or no interview. If interview, I'll go ahead and reach out. Well, I reach out regardless, but if an interview, I'll go ahead and reach out. We'll schedule a time that works for the committee and for the applicant. If everything goes well and you receive an admissions offer, you have the ability to accept, defer, or deny that admission. And so that's where the ultimate admissions decision comes in. We try and, let's see, we look at the entire poll after March 15th. We want to make sure that everybody has had a chance to get in. After that March 15th date, that's when the committee is looking at everything. So you can expect to hear from the committee usually by the first week of April, as far as interview times and things like that. This again is just reminding March 15th is our application deadline. Classes start August 2025. Classes start for the DSW program usually the second week of August. And again, July 1st is when we have our orientation to kind of prepare you for that rollout. So this is the end of my presentation, so I'm going to stop sharing. What questions, if any, do folks have for me at this time? Yeah, I know it's a lot to take in.
I have a question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kind of spoke with Dr. Mathis about this too, and she sent me something, but I'm wondering if you can maybe give me your insight or connect me with somebody who has experienced this. So, a current adjunct professor can receive tuition reimbursement or tuition assistance, but they have to be teaching so many courses. And so she mentioned that that might be like a heavy load, like teaching two courses at least, and then doing the DSW coursework. But like y'all mentioned, and she said it too, like you don't have any funds for scholarships. It's crazy times right now, and all the things. And so of course I would want I don't want to pay anything, to be honest. I mean,
Right.
Right, but I know
most don't.
So I was just wondering if you knew, like, if you had like a real answer, or you can point me to somebody in the direction who does currently teach and is in the program or has done that before, and like give me like a real life.
I do have someone that I can point you in the direction to. I'll reach out to them and then put you on that as far as that.
Yes, please.
I think she taught all the way through, but I'll have to double check. I know she was an adjunct. As far as if she taught whilst in the program, I think she did. So I will reach out to her and I'll round back to you, because honestly, who has done it would be the easiest. They will provide the best point of view. So,
Sure.
so yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, so this is Michelle. I had a question. You mentioned the accreditation. You're gonna the DSW program will be applying for the CSWE?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Other question?
So for me, being a distance learner, I would not visit the campus at all?
Correct. Except for graduation, please come. But other than that, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to come to graduation, then we won't see you at all. But yeah, there's no requirement to come physically to campus. We have had students, like I had one student who she was going on a trip somewhere, and Louisville was kind of like along her path, so she stopped by. But it's not a requirement by any means.
Okay.
Other questions?
So in terms of the cohort, you accept only 8 to 10. On average, how many applicants apply each year?
So we accept 15 to 20.
Oh, 15 to 20. Okay.
And it really just depends. There's been some years where we've had 60 applicants. We've had some years where we've maybe had 50. I think there was one year where we had 20, and we've only been, a part of the program for about 3 years or so, almost 4. So it really has just kind of depended on the year. But we try and take at least 15 to 20. Really beyond that, faculty just don't have the same capacity. So we want to try and maintain that as much as we can for the full-time faculty that we do have.
Okay. So in terms of like a weekly meeting with the cohort, that may not happen, only if a Wednesday synergist takes place?
So you will meet with your instructors 2 times each term regardless. What happens is they will usually email students ahead of time in their class of what the specific dates will be, but it'll always be a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. The synergist sessions do not occur at the same time that you meet with your instructors. So with the synergist sessions, it's kind of like attend if you're able to. They're an extra supplement for you to have some additional experience and to connect in a different way. There's usually some objectives. Dr. Shawnice Miller, she kind of heads the synergist sessions and will send out emails to students letting them know what topic will be discussed that may, be in favor of some students, and some students may be like, I don't want to come to that particular session. But they're also always going to be on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. as well, but they won't be during the same times as your classes. We try not to do that, so that way if students want to attend the synergist session, they have the option to do so. Other questions? Alrighty. Well, you all should receive this recording after the meeting ends. I know it takes a little bit on Teams. And if you do have other questions, feel free to reach back out to me. The DSW Kent email address is my email address. Let me see. And I can also type in my actual email address in here as well. My mouse, 2 screens. Okay. Case anyone needs me further. But thank you all so much for taking the time to hang out with me a little bit and learn more about the program. And like I said, if you want to attend the PhD program, those are also located on our website as well if you want to register for any of those. So otherwise, thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Bye.
Hello? Hello?